Dealerships can't sell cars. Despite the fact that car prices are going down, dealerships are still having a lot of trouble moving cars off of their dealership lots. And if you don't believe me, let's take a look at some of the evidence. But first, Christmas is here, and what better way to treat yourself than starting your very own peer-to-peer car sharing business? From December 14th to December 25th, you can get $150 off the car sharing masterclass by using the code Christmas150. The Car Sharing Masterclass is an extensive 7-hour course that teaches you everything you need to know about starting and scaling a car sharing business with the same business model that I've used. Over the last 6 years, I've grown my fleet to nearly 30 cars that generate anywhere between $25,000 and $30,000 each and every month. And with the Car Sharing Masterclass, I teach you how to do the same. Throughout the course, we'll go over everything you need to know, from how to buy cars, how to determine which cars are the right ones to buy, what to avoid when purchasing cars, key exchanges, communicating with guests, how to automate your business to make it semi-passive, how to navigate insurance, protection packages, damage claims. In fact, I am so confident with the quality of education that you'll receive with the Car Sharing Masterclass that we also offer a robust, no questions asked, money-back guarantee at no risk to you. So if you want to start your car sharing side hustle in 2024 and you want to lock in your spot into the Car Sharing Masterclass at a discounted price, then be sure to use the code Christmas150 before December 25th and you can get $150 off your purchase. Now, I spend a lot of time looking at the car market online, and over the last few months, it has become blatantly clear that cars are sitting on dealership lots longer and dealerships are having to lower prices more and more in order to incentivize sales. Now, let's first take a look at some inventory levels, which is some data that was just released for the month of November. And according to Cox Automotive, automakers started out December with a 70-day supply of vehicles. This is an increase of 890,000 vehicles from a year ago and is actually the largest inventory that we've seen since spring of 2021. And this is huge news because many of you guys may remember that in the spring of 2021, this was kind of the last normal season of the car market, or at least relatively normal. We were still navigating the pandemic, but this was actually prior to the car market going through the roof in the summer of 2021. And so the fact that we have returned to the same inventory levels that we saw of spring of 2021 is huge news, and it absolutely is a step in the right direction. And one important thing to note about the increase in inventory levels is that this isn't entirely due to a decrease in demand, and it's also due to an increase in production as well, which again is a good thing. But don't be fooled, because even with an increase in production, demand is still falling. In fact, in order to really drive home this point, let's take a look at some cars that were at one point selling for well above MSRP, like the Ford Bronco. This 2023 Ford Bronco was listed for $67,654. Remember that this car was once a car that was flying off dealership lots and it was selling for well above MSRP. Today, this car is selling for at MSRP, well, I guess $1 below MSRP, and it's been on the market for 101 days. The used market isn't much better, with this 2022 model with less than 2,000 miles selling for $47,900. But when you look at this listing, you can see that this car, while only on the market for 50 days, has already seen nearly $10,000 in price reductions. But don't feel too bad for this dealership quite yet, because while they have had trouble selling this car, there is a good reason why. And that's because this used Ford Bronco is priced at a higher price point than its original MSRP. Because if we look at the window sticker for this exact car, you can see that the MSRP was $45,730. And yet this car is priced at $47,900. Make this make sense. But it's not just overpriced cars that aren't selling. Heavily depreciated cars are also having trouble selling. For example, let's take a look at the Ford F-150 Lightning. This car is listed for $58,495. It's a 2022 and it has 31,310 miles on it. Not only has this car seen $9,500 in total price reduction since it was listed 70 days ago, but this car has a new MSRP of $80,094. And whenever we look at what this car was priced at new versus what it's priced at today used, there is a 27% price decrease. And this car is only 1 year old. Now, this shouldn't really come as a surprise, because truthfully, this is the trend that we should be seeing in the car market. We should be seeing new cars significantly more expensive than used cars. And as cars become older and have more mileage, they should be going down in price more and more. In the last few years, we haven't been seeing that, but we are beginning to see that more often. Though currently, we are seeing this more frequently with electric vehicles than we are gas-powered vehicles. In fact, on the topic of the Ford F-150 Lightning, Ford has, as of this week, told dealerships that they are cutting production of the F-150 Lightning due to slowing customer demand, and that the production will be cut in half in 2024. Now, I don't know if the fact that Ford is cutting the production of the F-150 Lightning is more of a reflection of the car market as a whole or the EV market, but the data is definitely suggesting that it's more of the latter than the former. But what it does tell us is that demand is absolutely decreasing. And while it is decreasing across electric vehicles more than gas-powered vehicles, it is decreasing across the entire market as a whole. And while some of the examples that we've talked about in this video thus far are some of the more extreme overpriced examples, you can also take a look and see that even fairly priced cars are having trouble being sold. For example, this 2023 Chevy Tahoe, which has 14,000 miles on it, and it's listed for $60,291. This car has been on the market for 62 days and has seen a total of $2,200 in price reductions. But unlike the Ford Bronco, which we talked about earlier, which was an extremely overpriced vehicle, this car is actually fairly priced according to KBB. And the price point of this Tahoe would be considered fair to below market value range. So even cars that could be considered relatively decent deals are still having trouble being sold. And if you thought that this was bad, then we need to take a look at Facebook Marketplace, because this is where car sellers become straight up delusional. I look at Facebook Marketplace all the time because this is where I buy all of my Turo cars. In fact, I look at Facebook Marketplace on a daily basis. And lately, I've been seeing more and more car sellers that are out of their minds. Like this Ford Focus. Looks clean, right? Well, for a 2011 with 81,000 miles, this car actually looks like a pretty solid deal until you realize that the total price for this car is $10,000. The absolute most that anybody should pay for a 2011 Ford Focus is around $6,000, and truthfully, I tell people all the time that you should try to get as close to $5,000 for a Ford Focus as possible. So the fact that this dealership in the Dallas area is selling a 2011 Ford Focus for $10,000 is absolutely mind-blowing. And when I saw this vehicle listing, it made me want to throw up, and I really hope that nobody buys this car, because that is a terrible deal. And on Facebook Marketplace, I am seeing more and more vehicles that look pretty clean according to their photos, and they are priced at a relatively fair price for the mileage in the year. Not a home run deal, but a solid deal. But whenever you begin to do your due diligence on the car, you actually find out that these vehicles are in fact not clean, and they are salvaged or rebuilt. And this is something that I've found to be more and more common in 2023, which is incredibly frustrating. Like this 2013 Honda Fit that I found last week. At $5,500, this is a solid deal for a clean titled Honda Fit, but the problem is this car isn't clean. Now, as I make this video, the description of this car shows that it's salvaged, but whenever I had originally inquired on this vehicle, the seller actually had said that the title was clean. $5,500 for a clean title Honda Fit is a really solid deal, but for a salvage one, yeah, you're gonna have to pass. Now, all of these cars that I've talked about in this video are cars that a year or two ago would have been sold in a blink of an eye. But today in this current car market, they're just not moving. And while I definitely do want to blame the delusional car sellers here, and believe me, they do need to be blamed, because part of the reason why these cars aren't selling is because they're simply priced too high, the other aspect of the equation is waning demand. And I'm even seeing this on my end as well. I've sold a few cars in the last 12 to 14 months. I sold a 2007 Lexus around June, a 2011 Yaris around July, a 2013 Lexus in September, and now I'm selling a 2011 Ford Focus. The Lexuses that I sold as well as the Yaris sold incredibly quickly. Like within a week of having them listed, they were sold. And we didn't really have to negotiate off of the price that we were listing the car for. But the 2011 Focus that we're currently selling has had very little inquiries, despite the fact that this car is priced at a below market value price. So in theory, it should be flying off the shelf as well, but it simply isn't. And you see this time and time again in the current car market. Cars that are priced at really solid prices, and yet they still aren't being sold. Like this 2020 Tesla Model 3, which is priced below market value, and yet it's still been sitting for 95 days. Or this 2021 GMC Sierra, which is listed for $44,476. This car is considered to be a fair market value, and yet it's still been sitting for 80 days and has seen total price reductions of $4,210. And so, while slowing car sales can definitely be blamed in part on dealership greed, dealerships don't want to lower their prices and people don't want to pay a premium price, and so cars just aren't being sold at the same pace they once were. We also have to point towards the slowing demand as well, because even cars that are priced at a fair price aren't being sold as quickly as they once were, or quite honestly, as quickly as I would have expected them to. And truthfully, I predict that this game of chicken won't continue for much longer, because the longer the dealerships keep cars unsold on their lots, the more expensive that those cars become for the dealerships. At a certain point, it very literally costs dealerships money to keep cars on their lot, and in some cases, they would be better off taking a loss on that car rather than keeping the car unsold. And I predict that if this trend continues, we will begin to see car prices crash more and more because of the fact that dealerships will have to offload inventory, especially now that we're entering 2024 and dealerships are going to want to be getting rid of their 2023 year models. Again, this is excellent news for car buyers, but not so great for dealerships and car sellers. But like always, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Remember that the car sharing masterclass is on sale until December 26th. You can use the code Christmas150 to get $150 off your purchase. I will have a link to that down in the description below. And like always, I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, comments, if you have anything to add, I would love to hear it, so make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you guys in the next video.